Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the EU4 Third Rome attempt here. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. As I'm recording this, it is Thanksgiving Day 2025. I am at home by myself. Thanksgiving is one of those days for me. I know for most people it's a family holiday. My family is thousands of miles away from where I live. So I don't have. Oh, did I not? I guess. I thought the last playthrough I had finished the war with Sweden. Maybe I didn't, or maybe my save file got corrupted or something. Alright, well, let's. Before we do anything else, then, let's just take all of this here. Sweden doesn't need any of this. Yeah, let's take all of that. I thought I had done this last time, but oh well. Sometimes, I mean, save files can be weird and whatnot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did this, but that's okay. Yeah, now I know I did because I talked about why you would ever make an independent Finland, and I never do. So it must be a little glitch in the save file or something, but that's all right. Now we should be back to where we were when we left off. Excuse me. I know for many people, Thanksgiving's a family holiday. For me, like my family lives really super far away, and my kids are with their mother for the holiday, so I'm here by myself. And as it happens, Thanksgiving is a day I usually spend by myself, and as a reclusive loner, I really like it that way. My Nana will undoubtedly call at some point, and she'll ask me what I did, and I'll say I spent the day by myself, and she'll be like saddened by that, and I always have to explain to her, like every year it's the same thing. I have to explain that like I'm alone, but I'm not lonely, because I actually really like it this way. I do have people in my life, and yeah, I don't care. I do have people in my life, and like I do stuff with those people, but I also really enjoy my alone. So that's what I am doing. Those are mercenaries. That's what I am doing for today. Who are these guys? These guys are mine, but they're not a full 50 unit army. So as you can see, we won our last war. We did lose some armies in the process. I think I remember not knowing how a couple armies got stack wiped, and I'm not sure how that happened or where it happened. But oh well. As always, as Russia, we have so many people. Like it's ridiculous. We can handle acceptable losses, which is a really obscure line from a really great but really obscure movie that probably none of you have ever seen, but you absolutely should. It's a great movie. I'm not going to give you any more hints than that, though. You have to go find it on your own. So my overextension is really high. So overextension, like, if you control a bunch of territory that is not your core territory, you're overextended. As you can see, like from all the negative numbers, it gives a bunch of like detriments to your nation. The biggest one being unrest. The rest of it you can kind of deal with, but the national unrest gets really hard as your overextension gets higher, especially if you get over 100%, which I don't know why they do it as a percentage, because you can get it to like 500%. Like, it's ridiculous. The higher it gets, the more likely you are to have rebellions, which just makes, like, you just have to keep sending soldiers everywhere to deal with stuff, and it's just a big nightmare. But as we core these areas, the overextension will go down. So we're just going to, as quickly as possible, try to core all of these areas, get the overextension down. see what's our. Those two still are at 100% liberty desire, but Crimea is not. Of all my vassals, Crimea is the one that's like most important right now, because when I annex them, I'll be able to just take over all of that land. And then, like, I can annex Theodoro as well, but there's really no point to annexing Theodoro right now. So my next big thing, I think, is going to be a war with the Ottomans. I think the time has come. They're at 55 military with 149,000 soldiers. We're at 55. We only have 94 right now, but once our army recovers from the last war, we'll be able to, I think, really, really mess them up. So that's my next goal here. So, okay, so those places are core territories now. See, my overextension came down from 80 to 66. So we're just as quickly as possible try to core all of these things. And then we probably should try to like let this build, because I need this to get to 55. That's my last thing. It's the only thing left, and then I can form the Russian Empire. The other thing, how much money are we making? Oh, we're making a boatload of money. So it is time now. We need to start making a navy. So we're going to go here to the navy. And now all of these things are important. They all have different roles. Galleys are way better at fighting in inland seas. This is what the game says. Okay. Galleys are better at fighting in inland seas. Barks are better at fighting, like they are good at protecting trade. Carracks are your heavy ships for like the open ocean. Cogs are your transports. Now the game says that. Now I don't know this, right? There are players who are probably a lot better than me and understand the mechanics a lot better than I do, but I have never found using navies full of galleys in inland seas to be very effective. I use galleys as cheap support ships, but really it seems like the heavy ships, it doesn't matter where they are, the heavy ships are going to dominate, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build some heavy ships along here. We still have a naval force limit that we need to be semi-cognizant of. The naval force limit's not as big a deal because, I guess the army force limit isn't either. I've been ignoring that for a while. But the thing about the navy force limit is you can just turn the fleet maintenance all the way down, and so the fleet is not being maintained at all until there's a war. You can do that with the army as well. The problem with doing that with the army is that they aren't able to drill if the army maintenance is all the way down, and when you start a war, the army maintenance has to go all the way back up, and then their morale has to rise all the way back up before you can use them to fight. And if you're dumb, like I often am, and you forget to turn that slider back up before going to war, you end up with a bunch of armies. Like you declare a war, and then all of a sudden your armies are not at all prepared to fight. And obviously that's a problem. So I like, as long as I'm making money and playing as Muscovy and then Russia, there's really never a time when you need to turn the army slider down. That general died. Need to replace him. Get this guy's drilling again. The manpower rebuild, and then we'll fill out this army. These guys are mercenaries. And then we'll build at least one more army, probably two, and then we'll start looking at the Ottomans. All right, so more of these places are cores now. So I've got a bunch of carracks that are being built. I'm going to go with some barks here. I like to use a variety of ships, but I tend to build my navies more with heavy ships. The game says that inland seas are better. So Denmark won the Independence War. Anyway, it says that galleys are better at inland seas, but I have just simply never found that to be true. Anytime, like I've had a navy where I've had like way more galleys, and I've attacked a navy with like a handful of heavy ships, and the heavy ships just always seem to be dominant. They just are. So, and France is supporting the independence of Verdun. And quite frankly, as you can see here, we're not going to be fighting really in the Baltic for very long. We are most of, like the Mediterranean is all considered inland seas, but we will have some naval action in here as we're fighting the Ottomans. But we'll be able eventually to come at the Ottomans from both directions. So, truthfully, the biggest thing right now about having a navy is to be able to get this area of Denmark. Right, that's really that's the biggest thing I need it for. And eventually maybe to attack these areas, but I might not have to attack those. Kind of depends on how the wars go. All right, so you need to be moved to where you're not having attrition. So anyway, yeah, it's a so I'm recording this. It's Thanksgiving. Hopefully, you all are having a good holiday if it's one that you celebrate. It's been a really nice Thanksgiving break for me. I have done absolutely nothing, and it's been wonderful. I get to spend a bunch of time with my kids, which has been great. Of course, I follow the news very closely, both out of personal interest and as a matter of my career. And of course, yesterday, as I'm recording this, the two National Guardsmen were shot in Washington, D.C. Of course, praying for their safety and recovery. It's one of those things. My students will often try to figure out what my political leanings are, and I refuse to tell them. And it's one of my great accomplishments as a teacher is that as of yet, nobody has been able to figure it out. I even had some students that were guessing, and it was really sweet. One of them guessed that I lean Republican, but that I voted for Harris, and that her reasoning was that because she thinks that the quality of a candidate matters more to me than party allegiance, and in her opinion, Trump is a terrible candidate or terrible person, and that was really sweet that was her opinion of me. That whether she was right or wrong in who I vote for, that she thinks that my reasons for voting for a person are more about their whether or not they're a good person, which makes me feel good, And of course, the kids have never ever figured out who I vote for, and I think, as a teacher of history and politics, I would, if that wasn't true, then I would be doing my job incorrectly, right? They shouldn't know how I vote. But I think if there's one thing we can hopefully all agree on, it's don't shoot people. No good will come of this, no matter what. Whether you agree with the deployment of the National Guard as a police force to these areas or not, nothing good is going to come of this. And of course, the guy is an Afghan immigrant, and so all it's going to do is just invigorate this idea of Muslims being bad, of immigrants from Muslim countries being bad, and the guy did no good for anybody. It doesn't, and he has a wife and kids, I guess. Just no good will come of it. Please, exercise your right to vote, exercise your right to peaceful protest, but don't shoot people. Just no good will come of it. But anyway, so that's been a little damper on the holiday, and I'm sure for their families, it's absolutely terrible. But other than that, my Thanksgiving has been really good, and now I'm here playing my favorite game of all time. I've got a few adult apple juices with me, so it's a good day. It's a good day overall. I bought this game on Steam called Atomic Hearts, and it's a retro futuristic game set in the Soviet Union, which I think is just a neat idea. And there's robots and stuff. I played the demo back in 23 when it came out, and I never played the full game. And I bought it because the Steam winter sale or Black Friday sale, whatever it is, has it the gold edition for like $26, and I had to return it because like the Unreal Engine kept crashing, and it seemed like that's just a problem that everybody's known about for like a couple years. And if I was a smart person, I would have like, looked at the reviews and stuff before I bought it. But thankfully, Steam gave me my money back. But I was really disappointed. I was hoping to be able to play it here on the channel for everyone, but send you guys there. But it was not to be. It's a first-person shooter with some like quasi horror elements, so it wouldn't have been like the most relaxing background game. Um, which is kind of what this channel's all about anyway. You're not really supposed to be paying attention to me right now if you're doing this channel right. But I thought it would be fun. And that's kind of the Atom Punk style is like my life. Like it's my favorite art style. My favorite art style. I live like a person in the 50s, but like I have the internet and stuff. So, so I thought it would be really cool, but it was not to be. But that's okay. Hopefully, I mean, if they ever get get it sorted out and stuff, like I would totally buy it and play it. It's just like every time I would try to load it, I would get this Unreal Engine crash error, and I tried every single thing the internet suggested, all of the command lines in Steam and stuff, and it just couldn't be. So I'm gonna wait just a second for them to finish. And it's sad because it looks like a really awesome game, but it was not to be. But that's okay. Some other options. I know I was talking about. I've talked a fair amount about Stellaris. I might try to play that at some point, like maybe when this runs over. Lady Bear seems really to want to play Hearts of Iron, which I like. I like Hearts of Iron. It's okay if EU4 didn't exist, it's probably what I would be playing. But it's just it's not that it's a bad game. It's one, I'm terrible at it, but also it's just an era of history that I'm not particularly interested in. As a historian, one of the great annoyances is people will ask me like, "What do I do?" And and I tell them, I'm an historian, and immediately there were two rebellions, but I guess one was in one of my vassals. Oh no, it's right there. Immediately, everybody wants to talk about World War II, and like, first off, there's nothing to talk about. Okay, the Germans were never going to win. There's no scenario. Like, it doesn't matter what you come up with. What if they win at Stalingrad? Berlin gets nuked in August of 45. Like, what if they try to ease the tension? What if Hitler sends winter clothes to Russia? Berlin gets nuked in August of 45, right? Like, there's no what if they defeat Normandy? Well, there was a second invasion of France that nobody remembers, but it's called Operation Dragoon, and it landed down here in southern France. So it was a two-pronged attack. So there still would have been allies pouring into France, and even if there weren't, Berlin gets nuked in August of 45. Like, there's no outside of something absolutely insane, like what if the British allied with the Germans or something? Like, there is no alternate history to World War II. There's just not. Like, Wolfenstein is the only way to do it, and you have to just like completely invent a sci-fi world. And so it's just boring, right? Like, for me at least. For some people it's like their whole life, but I would much rather talk about the development of Christendom and Western civilization in the medieval era and scholasticism and like just all of that stuff, the East-West schism, and like the rise of Christendom, the rise of Islam, right? Like, those things are far more interesting to me, and in my opinion, have a far greater impact on world history. Right? What does World War II teach us about world history? Right? Racism is bad. You shouldn't hate people because they're a different category than you. Especially when that category is sort of an arbitrary category anyway. Um, right, like that's it. So I don't know. I get it. I just find it boring, and so we'll see. It's hard to get excited about a game that covers an era of history that I really just am not interested in. My interests go basically from like 500 AD, like kind of like immediately post Rome, to about, I guess, about the outbreak of the First World War, kind of around that era. That's what I care about. That's what I find interesting and could talk for hours about. Um, and also, like, it gets uncomfortable with World War II because people so fetishize the Nazis, and like to the extent where like it's almost like people don't really think the Nazis were the bad guys, and like they 100% were the bad guys. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It just makes me uncomfortable. Um, but there is, I will say, Hearts of Iron does have a pretty cool. Oh, there we go. Sweet. Now we can form Russia. Coincidentally, as I'm saying this, Hearts of Iron does have a pretty cool track where you can. There, now we are the Russian Empire, where you can rebel against Stalin and reform the Russian Empire, which is always fun to do. We can make more states. So, I mean, at some point, I will probably rather devote time to playing Stellaris and trying to learn it. I've got like 14 hours in Stellaris, and it seems really cool, but I've just never been able to wrap my brain around it. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. This is something I wish there was like a do all button, but like there's not. That would be something. There probably somebody has a mod out there somewhere that lets you like just do all of them, because I don't know why. Like there's no, I see no practical value to like making some places states and not others. Like it's not like I'm going to go through and say, yeah, this place can be a state, but that place can't be. Um, all right, so what have I unlocked here? There we go. So we've done all of that. We do need to continue this. We need to conquer Ruthenia, um, which means conquer Lithuania, and then the remainder of Poland. We'll be doing these kind of at the same time. Um, and then Carpathia. And then Southern Slavs, which we'll be doing a lot of these kind of at the same time. And then at the same time, we need to Land of the Churches. We'll probably end up sort of doing this just accidentally. You can, in your provinces, like build stuff, but this isn't a game where building things really is particularly important. Like I can build a church here, and now when that's done, um, there will be 8 places with churches instead of 7. But as we conquer these places, a lot of them will have churches, and then we just put a patriarch in Moscow, which we can do when we get there. Um, yeah, so can enact a government reform. So we are a Tsardom now, so we are the Russian Empire. Centralization is good. Expanded royal court's not bad. Representatives of the crown, though, is probably the best from my perspective here. Quality ideas. So one of the problems we have, so with military, we should take this quantity ideas track because we're Russia. And at some point also probably the offensive ideas. The problem is that it uses military tech points. And I'd rather those military tech points go into here so that we keep getting better and better, like soldiers and stuff. And so we can stay on pace with everybody else, right? So the Ottomans are at 55, we're at 56. We have 100,000 soldiers. They have 165,000 soldiers, but I'm about to make a bunch more here. And so I don't like to lose out on those. Whereas we can go with the diplomatic ideas are nice. Expansion ideas are also nice because it will let us start expanding, like in sending colonists up here. Probably go expansion first, and then I'll go diplomatic. What's my wrong one? There we go. All right, so I can go to 27 now. So I can add. So 27 would be 54. So I can add 2 more infantry, 2 more artillery, right? Unless I'm just really stupid. And then, so these guys, I can add 5 more infantry. And then 25 cannons. Wait until that gets to 25, and then we will add 25 cannons to that. And then maybe we'll see about paying the Ottomans a visit. We'll let our money recover a little bit and keep building up that navy. short here. So we now outnumber them, and we have greater military tech than the Ottomans. So, but the thing is that the Ottomans obviously have alliances. None of these are going to be very powerful, but it's important to remember that the number isn't just what's here. It's what's here plus all of their alliances. Now, see, they have 150 ships. We cannot possibly rival them on the water. That's not going to happen. We are starting to build a navy. Right, it's going to be a while. What's my naval force limit? 76. What does Denmark have? Denmark has exactly the same size navy that I do. When does my truce with Denmark end? Has it ended? No, it hasn't ended, but there we go. 1534, so a few more years. So they should actually get to 27. I'm used to 25, and I did the same thing with the cannons. We need 2 more artillery to get a properly sized force. All belongs to Mother Russia. So if we declare war, we're looking at fighting them. We can bring these guys in. So we're in pretty good shape here. Stop these guys from drilling. So can I get them down here? No. I can get them to here though. We have 2 more artillery. That'll get us to 25, so I need 2 more. And I can annex Crimea now, but I want to wait just a little bit. I want to keep them independent through the war with the Ottomans. limit. All right. And they're at war with somebody. So it's time to bring the pain. I don't even, there we go. Yeah, that's a place I actually do want. It's time to bring the pain to the Ottomans. I'm going to get rid of these rebels for Crimea while we're in the process here. Will they give me access? Yeah. That's annoying. The Ottomans are catching me spread out. That's the big danger with the Ottomans. They're definitely like, I mean, they're not to be underestimated. That's for sure. fit. Keep these guys in Constantinople for now, just to hold it. While we try to work some of these guys out of the war. The more of these guys we can convince to drop out, the more power we have over the Ottomans. So they got Wallachia to drop out of the war. That's okay. They weren't all that useful to me anyway. had shown up like a day earlier, we might have won that. We lost down there, but that's okay. So we can get more people to drop out here. That'll help. So what we want to do is really isolate the Ottomans. I'm going to send these guys down here. It seems like most of the Ottoman forces are on this side of Constantinople. the fact that they sent a peace offer, even though it's not a peace offer I'm going to entertain, but like the fact that they sent one is a big deal. There's another one. Yeah, like they want out of this war now. But I'm taking a minimum of this. Right? If I can take anything else, that's great. But I'm taking a minimum of Crimea. All right. Let's quit while we're ahead. There we go. So we have taken Crimea. We now have Black Sea access. Bring all these guys back home. Should be all of my armies. Yep, they're all moving homeward. All right. So there's that. We start the process of annexing Crimea. And then we'll control all of this. And then we should just start improving relations with Theodoro. Because then we'll just annex them as well. You're a tributary state. There. So that has greatly changed the balance of power on Earth now. We have just defeated the Ottomans in a war. That is a huge deal. You know, back when we first started this game, the Ottomans could absolutely have steamrolled us completely. And now we have defeated them in a war. Now, one thing I was thinking of is that it might be worthwhile to invade Scotland. And the reason is, since we have coast over here now, it might let me fabricate claims on areas of Scotland now. And the reason is, if we can, even though it seems kind of stupid from the perspective of like we're way over here, if we can establish some sort of claim, some sort of territorial something in Scotland, then that would circumvent the English Navy, because we could just pile a bunch of troops in there and then just invade them entirely, right? Like, so I'm thinking, so they're allied with Denmark. I want to go to war with Denmark again anyway. I'm thinking I'm going to, since Oldenburg's not trying to declare independence, I might build up. So now I need to build up a bunch of cogs to carry an army. I'll need 50 to carry, well, 54 to carry a full-size army to invade Scotland with. While we're doing that, let's see if we can build a spy network. See if I can have an army on ships out here ready to invade Scotland the moment that we have the opportunity. Send you guys up here. That would give us the ability to circumvent the English naval might. Like, if we control this, then all the rest of this is just a matter of convincing them that we're the ones in charge. I need somewhere to send half this army. I guess that's still not enough. Well, I'll put them here, and at least the attrition will be lower. I'm gonna wait till our money goes up. I don't want to take a loan if I don't have to, but it is moving the capital to St. Petersburg is nice. Yeah, I think we have a colonist now that we can send. No, maybe not. Diplomatic tech 78. I think we're a ways away from that, aren't we? Yeah, holy cow. Yeah. Right, we're quite a ways away from sending colonists. They're almost done with that first round of ships. We're going to fabricate a claim on the Scottish Highlands. I'm going to move, if we can, these guys to over here. And move these guys to up here. And once we get all of those transports done, these guys on ships and take them over here. And we're going to see if we can't break this game entirely. We've got these guys here. These guys, they're mercenaries as well. All right. Be nice if we could get these guys, we'll move them here. And we'll use them to drive up through southern Denmark when the war begins. Those ships are all in production. Holy crap. That is a lot of money. All right. So, inflation is never good. We want to try to reduce inflation as much as possible. We've done that, and now, we're going to move the capital to St. Petersburg. You see, it just has a bunch of benefits. Like, there's no real reason, unless you had some role-playing reason not to do it. There's no real reason to not do it. We now have a free merchant. Let's see, where can we send you? Let's go to Constantinople. That looks good. Just a few more ships. A few more ships. Maybe another year. See, the defensive is more well-rounded. The offensive, I mean, we're doing a lot of attacking. We're not doing a whole lot of defending. The only real difference, it seems, is that their defensive fire is slightly lower. So we're going to go with the offensive. We want our units to be offensive as possible. They should be canceled everywhere. I don't want to spend the money on that yet. We have so much manpower, it's insane. I really should be making other armies out here. I'm neglecting to do that. I'm focusing too much on getting ready to fight Scotland. Oops, that's one too many. No, it's 26. They're 27. Should make it abundantly clear that we are the dominant power of this region. And we have so many soldiers, it's insane. I wonder if my limit went up. No, it's still 27. Let that finish. It's the same issue I had earlier. Here, we'll move them there. We'll move them there. That's the biggest problem, is we're outpacing our development because I'm not doing anything about our development, which I kind of should be. Making it difficult to keep all these soldiers here with we need one more transport. It's going to be about a year. And then we are going to take the fight to Scotland. And to Denmark. Actually, I guess I could move these guys over here. Yeah, they would have not much attrition. And they'll be better positioned. They must have just taken something over here that I had a claim to. Come on, shipbuilders. We're about to annex Crimea as well. I kind of forgot that I was even doing that. So Crimea is about to go away, so we'll have that army to add to our our legion. We can add these ships to our navy as well. Oh, my air died. Good thing I have multiple kids there. So we have taken Crimea. And we can begin the process now. I mean, we could have before, but it makes more sense logically now. We've destroyed the hordes. To then annex Theodoro. And we'll take these ships and we'll send them up here. We'll take this. This is our last one here. So we'll wait till these guys all get up here. Poland insulted us, but at this point, I am not at all concerned with the opinions of the Polish. Why won't it let me merge? Oh, because it has an army loaded. Well, then you guys just hang out here. You guys head over here. I guess to here. Alright. You guys get here and stop drilling. You guys get here. And let's just see what happens. Those guys are ready. Alright, Scotland. So we're going to end up at war with France as well, but that's okay. This we're at war with Sweden, Denmark, France, and French Canada. We can call Hungary into the war. That's good. The Hungarians will hopefully deal with the French some. Can we have military access, please? What just happened? Where did... Oh. Shoot, I thought that they had offloaded that army already. It's good. For a moment I panicked and thought that my army had, like, been stack wiped or something. And I was going to be effing furious. I might have rage quit at that point. Alright, there. Now let's see. There. So we've got soldiers sieging the Danish capital. That's always the hardest part. And that's going to hurt me, but that's okay. I lost that battle, but I still have some navy. And what matters is that I got guys here into the capital of Denmark. So you go here. Carpet siege. This real quick. Why is there a Danish army? Like, what is his goal? He's going way up there and he's just going to get obliterated by all of these guys that I have forming down here. What have I accomplished? I won the siege of Aberdeen. Whoops. Shoot, that was the wrong. I didn't mean to click that war is hard on everyone choice. That's never the best choice. Alright, so these guys go here and then here. Did I not make enough artillery again? I guess not. We wait for them. Send these guys up here. See if that army is still up there. Oh, there they are right there. Scotland. And, of course, hitting the French. The French don't seem inclined to surrender. But the Danes and the Swedes probably will. Well, I guess not to the extent that I hoped. We'll let them suffer under my rule for a little bit. Oh, shoot. Whoops. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Alright, I'm just gonna... Shoot. I messed up. I'm gonna undo... I meant to... this is annoying. I meant to be making culverins, not... B27 there. So now we're going to split them. We're going to give them general. We're going to start smashing the Scots. Looks like the English have declared war on the Scots, which I guess they've declared war on the Netherlands. Oh no, the Netherlands declared war on them. Does that put... I guess there's just random English armies up here for some reason. We have won the siege of Calais. That would be sweet if we could take that from the French. That would be awesome. about that they just are desperate to cling to. I wonder if France would be willing to back out of the war. They're not going to give up Calais. To try to take anything from them would be really difficult. Let's just get them to pay reparations. There we go. Now we're in an incredibly powerful position, because that leaves us just Sweden, Denmark, and Scotland. We can send all these guys back here. Send these guys to Orkney. We just completely wiped out the Danish army. So, all right. What haven't we conquered that we only have 88% war score? I guess unless they have colonies. Oh, they have Iceland up there. All right, let's see. I mean, maybe we can. We speak for Denmark. Maybe we could take Iceland. That'd be cool. So we'll take Iceland from the Danes, just because. That gives us 99% war score with the Scots. Did I get a goal for... Oh, Slay the Lion of the North. Sweet. That gives us a bunch of free soldiers. Alright. So we've got 100% war score with Scotland. Take Zetland just because... Can we fully annex? Holy crap. Yeah, we can completely annex Scotland. Wow, Scotland is now mine. Okay, so that's a huge deal, because that completely invalidates the English naval ability now. Because we have soldiers now over here, so we can, we can directly attack England. As a matter of fact, I might just do just because. We heavily outnumber them. We could bring another army in here. And even, we could try to invade Ireland, but we really don't even need to if we defeat England and just take some of these territories away from them. We can just totally do that. But for now, that's where I'm going to stop. We have radically expanded. We now control the entirety of the Baltic. Denmark is still here, but they're a shell of what they once were. We have become the Eurasian power. We defeated the Ottomans in a war, which is a huge deal. took over all of Crimea. We have a lot of Black Sea coast. We've started building a navy. We will, revisit Poland, Lithuania again soon. Knocking England out, though, that is going to be a huge, huge deal. We control, I guess Denmark still controls the Faroe Islands, but besides that, we control basically the entire North Atlantic here. So yeah, we are in a massively, massively powerful position. We are going to eat all of Europe. But for now, that is where I'm going to stop this video. I know it's a little longer than normal, but it's a holiday weekend, and so hopefully you've enjoyed it. And hopefully it's been nice background noise for whatever it is that you're doing. But anyway, I will see you when I see you.